So again, welcome to this month's Trader Connect, November 2021. Can't believe we're almost at the end of the year. For those of you who are new, I can see there's quite a few new faces, well, new people here. So this is just a little webinar we do once a month. This is all about trading. We look at charts, we do some technical analysis, and yeah, if you have any specific charts you would like us to have a look at, you can just either put it in the questions or in the chat, and then I'll do my best to get to everyone's requests. We will have a look at pretty much anything. So if you have local stocks, offshore stocks, commodities, forex, we will have a look at all of them. Okay, so let's just go through the usual spiel for everyone who's new. Okay, so naturally around Swiss, we are a fully regulated, registered financial services provider. These are just some of the awards we won over the last 3 years. So you can see in 2019 and again this year, we won SA Top Stockbroker Award. In 2020, we came second, so that's unfortunate. We couldn't do it 3 years running, but we got it again this year, so we can try and get the trifecta from here on out. 2019, then we also got awarded SA's Top Advice Broker. Then same as with the Top Stockbroker, 2019 and 2021, we got the People's Choice Award. I'm actually not sure where we got 2021. If I remember correctly, we were still in the top 3. Then last year, we were rated SA's Top Online Broker. And then last year and this year, we were rated South Africa's Best Tax-Free Savings Account. So we are very proud of these awards. Naturally, a big reason for getting these awards is like we really care about the service we provide to clients. So that's a big reason why we got these awards, especially the People's Choice Award. Around Swiss, it really doesn't matter if you have like a 10,000 Rand account or a 10 million Rand account. We really do our best to provide you with an excellent service and always just keeping our clients happy. Okay, so what do we do? Online trading. I'm sure that's what a lot of you do. Online trading, we do nothing. We just give you the platform. So the 2 platforms we use the most is Velocity Trader and the DMA platform. So Saxo is a Danish bank, but the local office is trading under the name DMA. So these are the 2 platforms we use the most, and these are naturally the 2 platforms we'll have a look at today. When we look at the local stuff and some commodities and forex, we'll be using Velocity Trader. When we go offshore, look at the offshore stocks, I'll give you a look at the DMA platform. Private broking is very similar to online trading. So with private broking, basically, you still manage the account yourselves. You still make the final decision. You still place the trades and all that, but you are allowed to come and ask us for advice. So say, for instance, you've got this corporate event on Nasdaq or process. You can ask us, okay, guys, what do you recommend? What do you think I should do here? Or maybe or Tesla stock, and you say, okay, guys, I've had Tesla. It's been running really well. Do you guys think I should sell it or buy more? Those kind of things. Now, do you guys have research for me? Because we do get some institutional research sometimes. We can share that research with you. Managed portfolio, that's more of a discretionary thing. So managed portfolios, you just say, look, I don't have time to look at the markets. I don't know what I'm doing here. Just take my money, manage it for me, and then we'll either put it for you into one of our model portfolios, like for instance, our global equity portfolio, which has done really, really well over the past 5 years. Or we can make you a bespoke portfolio. So for instance, I know a lot of people, they like Sharia investments. And so there's some stocks in our model portfolios which they cannot hold. So then we'll build you a bespoke portfolio just for your particular needs. Structured products, these are very defensive products. So for instance, right now we've got one from Sanlam. That structured product is based on the performance of a ESG index. The nice thing about it, though, is that this structured product will aim to give you 3 times the return that index will give over the next 5 years. Now, historically, that index has done about 6% per annum, which doesn't sound like much. But so over 5 years, 30%. But if you take into consideration that this product aims to do minimum 3 times that, you're looking at like a 90% return over 5 years. But what's really nice also is it comes with 100% capital protection. So if the index is negative after 5 years, you will get 100% of your capital back. So the index can fall 50%, you won't lose. You get 100% of your capital back. So yeah, it aims to do minimum, but it hopes to do at least 4 times the return. So a possible 120% if it sticks to historical averages, but naturally past performance does not guarantee future performance. Okay, offshore transfer is very important, especially right now. As I'm sure many of you know, you can do R1 million a year, which you are allowed to send offshore. That resets at the end of the year. So if you have not yet used up your single discretionary allowance, you have not yet sent your R1 million offshore yet, you have a month to do it, basically. By the end, by 31 December, it resets. And then on 1 January, you can do another million. So if you don't use up your allowance in the next month, you're losing it. So say, for instance, you haven't used it up, you can do $1 million now, and in January, you can do another $1 million. But if you don't do that $1 million now, between now and the end of the year, you lose it. And then in January, you can do $1 million. So, I mean, it's a question of send R2 million offshore or only send R1 million offshore. So just please take note, you have 1 month to do your offshore transfers. If you are looking to do offshore transfers, please contact us. We will give you a much better rate than your local bank. Okay, wealth management, RAs, living annuities, life insurance, those kind of things we can help you with. Tax-free savings accounts, I'm sure all of you know what those are, but you can do 36,000 Rand a year into a tax-free savings account. If you don't have one yet, I highly recommend it, especially if you're a long-term investor. I mean, you put money in 36,000 Rand a year into a tax-free savings account, I think you can do up to a maximum of 500K over your lifetime. You leave that for 20, 25 years, you can get a lot of growth, and all that growth will be tax-free. You will not pay a cent of tax on that growth. Okay, and then, yeah, just our network partnerships. So our media partnerships, I'm sure you know, you'll see Gary, Viv, Yaku on especially Business Day TV, CNBC, ETV, SABC. Then our partners, of course. So like I said, these are our 2 main platforms, but they're not our only ones. So if you, for instance, open a tax-free savings account, you will most likely use the Momentum platform. It's just because they gave it to us at the best rates. So it's very cost effective for you to open a tax-free savings account with us using the Momentum platform. It's literally, I think per trade, you pay 0.25% in brokerage and there's no minimums. So it's very, very cheap to open. And that platform gives you access to the entire universe of ETFs on the JSE. So they don't limit you to, oh, you can only invest in these ETFs. Like we've opened it up the entire universe. So you can pretty much invest in any ETF that's allowed under the scheme. And then Swissquote, that's another popular platform. So Swissquote is a Swiss bank. And the nice thing about Swissquote is you actually get an actual Swiss bank account when you open this account. Okay. Now, before we start, just the usual disclaimer. We are going to look at quite a few charts and analyze a few trades. And I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to say, oh, this looks like a buy to me, or this looks like a sell. But by no means am I recommending you go out and buy and sell these shares. This is just my opinion, my personal opinion. So always use your own discretion. Before you place a trade, say, well, okay, Christo said that or that, so I can take that into consideration, but this guy says this, or I do my own analysis on the chart, and oh, I see this and this. Then you put it all together, and then you can decide if you agree with me, or if you think, no, I'm going to give a pass on this one, or whatever. But yeah, these are not recommendations. These are purely ideas. This is a platform for us to share our ideas, to share trade ideas, and so on. Okay, well, let's analyze your trades. So I'm just going to start with 1 or 2, which I know is always very popular. Let me just bring up the platform. Okay, I just want to check. So all of you should be able to see the Standard Bank chart at the moment. So yesterday, actually, we sent out a trade on Standard Bank. And you'll see here at the top, we share, if you have a trading account with us as well, you will see it up here as well. So you can click their ideas and you see, oh, there's a trade idea. There's the chart. Well, okay, it's a 5-minute chart, but this isn't really important. There is our reasoning. So there we explain why we think it's a long trade or a short trade. And then if you click on this attachment, it will open this image for you where we do our analysis. And then if you agree with it, it's already, the order ticket is already completed for you. So all you have to do is you just have to say, what quantity you want to trade, and then you can say buy. And the nice thing is, so you can see the stop loss, for instance. If you do a quantity of 1 is 660. So you could say, well, okay, I'm willing to risk 500 Rand on this trade. So then you can try your luck. So let's say 80. Okay, so I should do a little less than 80. You can say 75. Okay, there. If I do 75, I do 500. And then you can just say place order. And then it will place the order for you. So everything's already completed for you. Everything's already filled in. You just need to put in your quantity. Naturally, you can read this if you want to understand the reasoning and all of that. So you can just check there at the top ideas, and then you'll see our trade idea that's currently in the market. And that's on Standard Bank. But okay, so Standard Bank, a big reason for this trade was that the Rand, I don't know if you're following it, but the Rand is very, very weak at the moment. So I think we'll have a look now, but it's about 1580. So you will see that banks and the Rand, so Standard Bank, Absa, First Rand, all those banks, they're very highly correlated to the performance of the Rand. So if the Rand strengthens, they strengthen. If the Rand weakens, they weaken. So the Rand has been weakening, they have been weakening. But I personally feel that the Rand has weakened about as much as it's going to weaken. So that is why I opened this trading position on Standard Bank. Because if the Rand does in fact start to strengthen, goes back to 1480, then you will see probably Standard Bank will strengthen with it. Okay, let's have a look. So if you have this platform, you always see this too, USD ZAR, USD ZAR mini. So USD ZAR is for a quantity of $40,000. The mini is for $1,000. So you kind of have to decide how big your account is. Naturally, if you only have a 10,000 Rand account, you cannot trade this, because I mean, $40,000, that's over 600,000 Rand. Whereas the mini, that is about 15,500, 15,800 Rand. So that's more affordable. But okay, so there we can see clearly the Rand has been weakening. Now, the reason the Rand has been weakening over the last few days was because of Turkey. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but Turkey's currency is very volatile. They've made big changes to the interest rates, and the Turkish lira proceeded to weaken. And as a result, it's just this contagion effect. Other emerging market currencies also weakened along with the Turkish lira. South Africa, of course, we're an emerging market. We have an emerging market currency. On top of that, I don't know if you guys follow the news, but last night, President Joe Biden, he renewed Jerome Powell's governorship of the Fed for another term. And Jerome Powell, of course, people think he'll start hiking interest rates by next year. So that is a lot of dollar strength. If interest rates go up in any currency, then people tend to move there. So the reason we saw a lot of Rand strength in the beginning of the year was because of what was known as the interest rate differential. So people could earn higher interest rate in South Africa than in America. So they bought Rands. But now that people think, okay, interest rates are going back up in America, they're moving out of emerging market currencies, and they're moving back into the dollar. So we've been seeing a lot of dollar strength. So that's another reason why we saw the Rand weakening. But I still personally feel that the Rand has gone a bit too far. It's weakened too much, and I think at the very least, we'll go back to 15 Rand within the next few weeks. Okay, we can do some analysis. So one thing that can be worrying there, if we look at the Rand though, is we can see clearly there, about 1560. Okay, let's rather use a square because support's never exactly a perfect area. So there. That was resistance there between 1540 and 1560. Rand continuously strengthened, found resistance, came back down, found resistance, came up, almost got there, resistance dropped, and now it's kind of broken through that resistance. So that is a bit worrying, if I have to be honest. If you go by that, it has now properly broken through that resistance. So we could possibly expect the Rand to continue to weaken a bit more. But I think they will at least strengthen a bit more before we see it weakening fall. I strongly feel we'll see at least 15 yet. So my personal opinion, again, this is by no means a recommendation. My personal opinion is that this is probably a false breakout, and we'll You'll probably see it break back down again. Let's put in another indicator, popular one, the MACD. Okay, so at least on the MACD, can we say there's not really much of a divergence? So you could previously have said there's about divergence when you, yeah, because this one was clearly creating a new high, but it was creating the same high here, but it doesn't look like much of a divergence anymore. Let's put the Ichimoku, very popular indicator. Okay, so this one, so if you guys remember from previous webinars, this is the Kumo, the cloud, and this is kind of the leading indicator on the USD ZAR. Okay, so it is predicting going into the future. It's pretty much predicting like, okay, the USD ZAR pair is going to go up. But what you will see a lot of time is these edges, the borders of the clouds, they act as resistance. So if that holds, if it comes down, you can definitely see it coming back to about testing the 15 Rand area again before it goes back up again. This is the lagging indicator. So basically the lagging indicator is just whatever price is at this moment, but they set it back 26 periods. So this is a one-day chart, so they set it back 26 days. And basically this lagging indicator, what you want is if it's above where price was 26 days ago, that's bullish. Like here, if it's below where it was 26 days ago, it's bearish. And if it's moving in between price as it did here, it means there is no trend. It's basically predicting there is no direction at the moment. And the Rand was stuck in a sideways panel. And it was. I mean, it bounced between 15.40 and 14 Rand. But now it is above, so that is bullish for the pair. So bullish for the dollar, bearish for the Rand. Same thing here. This is your short-term moving average, medium-term moving average. There is a nice big little gap here. So that's also bullish. So if we look at this indicator, it is definitely kind of predicting, I think, going forward, Rand weakness. But that does not mean that you can see some kind of correction before it bounces back up again. And I do think that correction will be coming over the next few weeks, where we'll at the very least be heading back to 15 Rand. We will retest that 15 Rand level and then maybe go higher again. Yeah, that's the USD ZAR. Does do any of you have questions on the USD ZAR before we move on? Okay, no questions. Let's just look at another one quickly that people are usually also interested in. Brent, so oil. Okay, so oil naturally, I'm sure we all know, we feel it every day in our pockets. Oil has definitely been strengthening for a long time now. Big reason for this is because people were very bullish about the vaccines working, economies reopening, and so on. And there's just energy inflation everywhere. So yeah, a big thing was, like you will see in Europe, in China, in England, like there's a big issue with gas shortages. So what they ended up having to do was they had to go rely on oil to generate electricity, to heat homes and so on. And that added more pressure on, more shortages for oil. OPEC, of course, said, no, we like the price nice and high. So what OPEC did was said, well, we're not going to up production as much. So it continued going up. But now what we've seen in about the last week or so was the bigger countries, the bigger users of oil. So America, China, Japan, India, they have decided, like, look, we're fed up with these high prices. We are going to release oil from our strategic reserves. So basically they're saying we're going to flood the market with oil. And as a result, we've seen oil starting to come down. So that's basically what's happening here. So since about August, this push here, what you've seen, that was the shortages, well, natural gas shortages, which made the economies in Europe and China and so on move to oil to generate electricity and heat homes and so on. And what we've seen here, those same economies saying we're tired of the high oil prices, we're going to release our strategic oil reserves. We're going to flood the market with oil. And so we've seen oil dropping. But as a trader, what are we seeing here? So as a trader, we are seeing here at about $77.50 a barrel. Because remember, we are looking here at dollars, not rands. Oil is quoted in dollars, not in rands. There is possible, well, okay, let's rather use a square again. Sorry about that. Let me just do that quick. Because we're always talking about areas, never exact numbers. So that little area right there. So between 77.50 and 76. So that $1.50 range right there. From $76 to $77.50, we can see that oil might be finding support. So once it drops in this area, you can say, look, I'm possibly going to open a long position on oil. Let's just look, let's just put the MACD back on. Okay, MACD, it's really dropped, as you can see. So for those who don't know, the main reason for the MACD indicator, MACD stands for Moving Average Convergence Divergent, and it's predominantly a trend indicator. So what you're looking for on the MACD is, first of all, are the lines trending up? Then that's saying, oh, okay, we're currently in a bullish trend. Second of all, where is the line? So kind of if you're in the minus area, you're in bear country. If you're above zero, then you're in bullish country. So basically you're going long. So if it's above the line and it's trending up, okay, we're in an uptrend. If it's below the line and it's trending down, then we're in a bearish trend. Second one, this is a moving average, a 9-day moving average of this blue line. So that's another thing you want. If it's above the red line, if it's above the moving average, that's another bullish signal. If it's below zero, below the moving average line, then you're in a bearish signal. So at the moment, that is kind of looking good. So we definitely did go below zero now. This, you can clearly see the zero line here if you look at the histogram. We are in zero, it is below the red line. So it is kind of telling us oil is currently in a bearish trend. So that is something you have to keep in mind before you say, okay, I'm opening a long position on oil. Because remember, none of these things are ever 100% correct. Just because it hits resistance doesn't mean, oh, well, this resistance definitely is going to work. You need to factor in all these indicators. You need to kind of listen to the news as well, what's happening in the energy sector, like things I just told you. OPEC, are they tightening supply? Are they opening supply? Americans, Chinese, all these countries flooding the market with oil. So these are all things you kind of have to keep in mind. So yes, there is support. So there's a possible long trade there. But keep in mind, okay, the MACD is telling us there is a bearish trend. We can put in another indicator. One that I also enjoy using a lot, slow stochastic. Okay, so that's a bullish signal. So the slow stochastic has these lines here at 20 and at 80. So if you go over 80, it's saying it's overbought. If it goes below 20, it's saying it's oversold. So what you're looking to do in these areas are you're looking to open short trades when it's in overbought territory. You're looking to open long trades when it's in oversold territory, which it is. So that is a good signal. So that means, like, if it hits support, it's probably still going to be in oversold territory. So that is a bullish signal for oil. That oil could possibly be going up, at least back to like $85 a barrel. Not saying it's going to happen, but there is a possibility. So that's something you can keep in mind. Okay, any questions on Brent? Okay, no questions on Brent. Then someone asked to have a look at Sibanye. Okay, Sibanye, I mean, in a sense. Okay, so what, I guess what we have to think is, what is Sibanye's main source of income? So Sibanye is a miner. I mean, I'm sure all of you know that. Sibanye Stillwater, they're a miner. They do mine quite a few things. They have some platinum mines and so on, but I think the main source of the income is still gold mining, and gold prices have been falling somewhat. Again, this goes back to what's happening in America and the US dollar. If interest rates go up on the US dollar, so let's all start this over again. The same way I told you earlier that South African banks, when you see the rand strengthen, South African banks strengthen, and so on. And the same way, if the rand weakens, banks weaken. Now, the same way is kind of gold. So the way gold works is it kind of has this inverse relationship with US dollar. So if the dollar strengthens, gold weakens. If the dollar weakens, gold strengthens. So we mentioned earlier before that expectations are for interest rates to go up in America. So people are moving into dollars. And as a result, gold has been weakening a bit, but we shouldn't have seen so much of really much of an effect on Sibanye, because much of that move should have been countered by the rand weakening. I mean, we're looking at the rand at like 15 rand 80. So even if the dollar weakens quite a bit, the rand has weakened as well and should have counteracted each other. Okay, there someone said Sibanye is 23% gold, so I guess that's not, they shouldn't be too heavily affected, but that is still a quarter of the revenue, so they will still be affected by that. But okay, so this is, let's just have a look at what's happening here though. Let's just see if we can find some support and resistance. So, I mean, at least in the near term, it seems to be like Sibanye stuck in this range right here. So I'm just going to put a little line there. Okay, so there was resistance before, and then it became like an area of support. So this is since September. So for about the last 2 months, this area, 50 rand a share, has been an area of resistance and support. So if, I mean, that at least is looking good for Sibanye. If you're looking to open a long trade, this could be a good area to start buying into Sibanye. Let's put on another indicator. Okay, MACD, what's the MACD? The MACD is pretty flat. So, I mean, it's telling us there's not much of a trend, which is to be expected. I mean, it looks like Sibanye has been trading flat now for a while. So right there. So between 55 and 50, it seems to be the range. So that previously was support, and now it seems to be acting as a bit of a resistance, area of resistance. Let's rather use the square again. 55 and 57.50. So that was the area of support. Now it's become resistance, and it seems the same thing happened on the other end. So this was resistance, and now this has become support. So it seems to be like Sibanye is stuck in a bit of a range at the moment, which if it holds, this could be a nice little area to go long. I mean, I'm sure if we look at the slow stochastic. Yep, as I thought there, it's gone into oversold. So just as it's hitting the bottom end of this range, as expected, it's considered to be oversold. So it looks like it could be a nice little long trade. So you're looking to open at low. So where is it currently? It's about at 50, 60 now. So open it about now, and then you can look as soon as it hit. You can either at the bottom end of it, 55. So that's a nice 4.50 move. You can aim to take profit, or you can say, no, I'm going to top off. So if it hits like 57-ish, then you can say, okay, I'm taking profit again, because it does seem to be stuck in this range right now. And I mean, found support. What you can do is, it depends on how risky you want to be naturally. You can either say, okay, look, I'm opening this now, or you can wait for a green candle, or in this sense, a blue candle, for that first up candle. And then you say, okay, I'm going long now. It depends on how risky it is. Because I mean, as I said before, these things are never certain. You can't know for a fact that it will keep, that the support, it might break down and it goes back down to 45, for all you know. So it depends on how risky you want to be. You say, look, it's near support right now. I'm opening this position now and I'm looking for this nice 4.50, 5.50 move. Or you can say, I'm waiting for the first up candle. Now, of course, there's a risk to that as well. What's the risk? The risk is that the next up candle can be here, and then you can pretty much lose the entire move in one day. So it kind of depends how defensive you want to be before you open the trade. If it does break below, I mean, like I said, this is the next stop, 45. So that's another 5 rand move. So if it breaks below, you can easily say, look, because again, just because it's oversold doesn't mean for a fact that it will be oversold area for a long while before it finally came back up. Just as these support and resistance lines are not 100% certain, this is not certain. This is just a signal. This is just something to keep in mind. This is never going to tell you, oh, it's oversold, definitely go long. Oh, it's overbought, definitely go short. It's just a signal. It's a factor you have to keep in mind, along with doing other, looking at other indicators and so on. So yeah, those are your two options. You can either say, look, I'm risking it. I'm going long now, and I'm getting a move. But then what's the risk? You can see yourself dropping back down to here, or you could say, no, I'm going to play defensively. I'm going to wait for the first up candle. And then you won't risk the drop, but you risk a nice big candle like this and losing out on the entire move. Okay, any questions on Sibanye? If not, somebody wanted to have a look at City Lodge. Okay, so they're saying look at City Lodge for a long position. Well, right now, City Lodge, I mean, it's actually not, maybe not the worst spot to be in if you're looking to go long. So let's go this little area here. So 4.60, 4.80, that range. Previously gave resistance, then broke through, then the bottom part acted as support, and now it might act as support again. What we are seeing on the slow stochastic though is, what's the reading? It's giving us 21.54, so it's not really giving us an oversold reading at the moment. Because I spoke about what happens below 20 and above 80, but we don't really spoke what happened in between. So what happens in between is if it's between 20 and 50, that's bearish. It's telling us it doesn't really have much momentum, at least not bullish momentum. It's got a bearish momentum. Whereas if it's between 50 and 80, it's got bullish momentum until it goes over 80, then it's going into overbought. So right now it is skirting, yeah, it's playing with oversold. If you look at the green reading there, it gives you a reading of 21.54. So it's right at the edge of going oversold, but it's not oversold yet. So that is a bit bearish. But there is support there. Let's try the Ichimoku again. See what reading that one gives us. Okay, Ichimoku, that's at least bullish. I mean, it is a green cloud, so it's predicting bullish future. And as I said before, the border of the cloud, what is known as the Kumo, it does tend to act as well as support. Just as the bottom can act as resistance, the top part of the cloud can act as support. So you might find that actually City Lodge might find support here and start moving back up again. Bit bearish here. This lagging indicator, as I told you before, if it goes below price, which it currently is, it's definitely below this candle. That is a bearish signal. And then on top of that, the short-term moving average has moved below the medium-term average. So that's also a bit bearish. So Ichimoku is giving a bit of a mixed signal. And then if you keep in mind that the slow stochastic is not oversold yet, that kind of tells me, I don't know, it's giving me a bit of a mixed signal. I'm not sure for me personally, what call to make on this one with City Lodge. I would say it seems like a bit of a wait and see moment for me. But what you can take out of if you want to go long is the fact that it is right at support and that slow stochastic is right at oversold. So it's very, very close to oversold. So that's like very close to giving you a bullish signal on the stock. Okay, any questions on City Lodge before we move on to the final South African stock? Okay, no? Okay, so the last South African one we're going to have a look at is Sasol. So naturally, Sasol, I mean, they do more than just oil, but their fortunes are very much tied to the price of oil. As you can see, oil strengthened, Sasol strengthened. Oil has been weakening, Sasol has been weakening. So what can we see at Sasol? So right now we can see Sasol is at a very good possible long position if you're looking to go on Sasol. So what's this? 243 to 250. Resistance, 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 resistance. Finally broke through, and now it goes to support. Hit support, nice big up candle, green candle. So that is a good sign. Just as it hit support, it went up. As I said, oil also right at support, so we could see a good move up on oil. Sorry for taking this off, slow stochastic. Let me put this one back on. Yep, Sasol went, oversold, and now we're seeing a possible jump up. So that's a nice bullish signal. But this again is a nice signal showing that just because it's oversold doesn't mean go long. Look how much time Sasol spent in oversold before it recovered a little bit, and then it's back into oversold. So don't just go like, oh, just because the stock is oversold on the slow stochastic, therefore I must go long. This is just a signal. And right now it's giving you a signal here. It's a buy signal right at support. That's a nice signal. You're seeing 2 up candles. That's a nice signal. So there's at least 3 bullish signals on Sasol. Let me put my Ichimoku on. Okay, so what do we see? Again, nice green candle. Look there. That's it. That's what I told you about. These borders can act as support and resistance. So that border did not act as support, but now it gets to the bottom end of the cloud and it's acting as support. What is a bit worrying though is this cloud has started to narrow. And I mean, you see what happens when it narrows. Eventually it starts to go red, it flips around. So that is a bit bearish. Same thing here, short-term moving average went below medium-term moving average. So that's bearish as well. Lagging one went below and it's going to start trading in between price, which means there might be a lack of direction. So what does that mean? It means that Sasol might start moving in the range. Like where? 275 at the top, 250 at the bottom, just jumping in between there. Hasn't happened yet. Right now it's still below, so that's a bit bearish, but if it continues like this, it is going to start trading inside of price. And when it trades inside price, like we see here, it means no direction. I mean, it wasn't wrong. Look, no direction. Sasol just traded in a sideways range for a long while before it finally started recovering. So what you could possibly do is you can say, well, okay, it's at support, 2 areas of support, this support, and then support at the cloud. So I could possibly open a long position now at 256, and I aim to take profit at about 275, somewhere between 270 and 275. It might go higher, but looking at the way this line is moving, it looks like it might end up stuck in this range between 250 and 275. But I mean, you need to keep in mind, if you're trading Sasol, you need to keep an eye on the price of oil naturally. So if you think, oh, Sasol is going up, you're basically saying, I think the price of oil is going to strengthen. So if you're opening a long position in oil, you can just well go and open that long position on Brent as well. Okay. So this is the last South African one we're going to look at. So I'm going to move now to the other platform. So just hold on 1 second. Okay, so this is the DMA platform, so Saxo Trader. If you open a offshore account with Rand Swiss, this is the platform we'll most probably use for you. So yeah, if you have any offshore stocks you want to have a look at, just let me know. We can have a look. I mean, I'll start us off with one people always want to have a look at, Tesla. So what's been happening with Tesla? As always, Tesla just keeps going up. This big drop here was when Elon Musk had to sell some of his shares to pay a tax bill. And then people got a little scared, but as you can see, it just recovered right up again. Here at $1,000, which I'm not surprised. Like you'll usually find that these nice round numbers, like $1,000, $1,100, all these like kind of mental areas of support and resistance. So I'm not surprised, like it got to 1,000 and people started buying back in again. But I mean, from a technical point of view, I'm not really seeing much in the way of, I mean, you could probably say there's a bit of resistance, short-term resistance. So if we put a horizontal line here, at 1,200, so resistance, it broke, it did go higher, but that was like a bit of a false one. It started falling. It seemed like yesterday Tesla again got to 1,200 and immediately that was the high for the day pretty much. It got to 1,200 and then it started going back down again. So that does seem to be a bit of a level that Tesla is struggling to break above. So you can probably keep an eye on it. I mean, maybe you can see if it gets a couple of red ones, you can say, okay, I'm going short on Tesla and I'm going to aim to take profit at $1,000 or, but I mean, as many people have experienced in the past, opening short positions on Tesla can be very painful. Okay. Let's put another indicator. Let's see, what does the MACD say? Okay, MACD, it is trending down, but you can see right there at the bottom, it is turning back up again. So the MACD is telling us, oh, this might be the start of a bullish trend. So actually, you might consider actually waiting and see, hey, will Tesla break above 1,200? Wait for a nice big candle. Wait for a few days above 1,200. Say, okay, I'm opening a long position on Tesla. At the very least, it's looking. If you it's just started to turn, so it's starting to predict. I mean, you have to understand the MACD is also known as a lagging indicator. So it means it takes time to react. So you can clearly see it's been going up for a few days now, but on the MACD, it's only started to turn. So just keep in mind that the MACD is a lagging indicator. But at least from a lagging perspective, it's saying, oh, we are seeing the beginning of a bullish trend. Does this one as well. Okay, what are we saying? I mean, all around. I don't know what. So this is usually the green cloud on the other platform, but the Ichimoku is giving us nothing but bullish signals. This is the green cloud. So it's predicting bullish movement, the short-term moving average. It's above the medium-term one. Yes, fair enough. The gap has closed. So that's telling us that Tesla has lost a bit of momentum at the very least. But it is still above. That's bullish. The lagging indicator is way above where it was before. So that is bullish as well. So at least the Ichimoku is giving us bullish. We are seeing the beginning of a bullish trend on the MACD. So that's bullish. So at least these signals are giving us a lot of bullish signals. The only bearish one was this little area of resistance at 1,200, which could be a bit of a problem. Okay, before we move to the next one, any questions on Tesla? Okay, then someone asked, we have a look at CRWD, Crowdstrike. Okay, what are we seeing on Crowdstrike? So Crowdstrike's clearly not been having a good time of it the last few days, but it does seem to be heading towards Okay, so it's a bit hard. So this is quite a big area of support and resistance on Crowdstrike. I'm not gonna lie. Quite a big area. Between $225 and $250. So that's a $25 area that acted as resistance, finally broke through, support. So now the question is, will it be finding support again? I mean, if you're going to go long on Crowdstrike, this will definitely be the area to do it. There's a little range here. The question is just where, well, are you going to do it? Are you going to wait for it to get to the bottom? Because as you see, it doesn't always go to the bottom. Sometimes it just goes to exactly where it is now, $240 a share about, and then it recovers again. So I mean, that's the risk you're going to have to take now. Is if you're going to take the chance of for it to go all the way down, you might miss entry. But if you're going now, I mean, you might miss a better entry going later. I mean, can go all the way back down to the bottom range of the stock. But I would definitely say if you're looking to go long on Crowdstrike, this is definitely the area to do it. What is the MACD telling us? Naturally, the MACD, I mean, you can't be surprised. It's been trending down. So the MACD has also been trending down. It is now properly in bearish country as well. It's went below zero, so that's bearish. It's below the moving average, so that's zero. But I mean, it can very quickly turn. Once it hits the below, you can very quickly see a jump, and then the MACD will turn up again. So let's put back the Ichimoku on this one. What's this one saying? Okay, so this one, this time the Ichimoku is a bit, it's kind of like the opposite of what we saw on Tesla. So this one is way more bearish, it's a bit more bearish. Yes, no, not even. I wanted to say actually the cloud is bullish, but if you really look at the cloud, you can see it's just about to go bearish as well. So this one, lagging indicator, broken below price, that's bearish. The short-term and medium-term average seems to be moving in the exact same spot at the moment. So it's kind of like indecisive. But price has also now fallen below the cloud. That's bearish. So what you might actually see now is it might recover, but it's going to find resistance here at the border. So there might still be a short-term bullish trade here, but in the long to or medium to long term, you might see that Crowdstrike actually starts to go bearish. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying don't go long. Definitely, this is the area to go long now, but it's probably going to be a quick trade. It's not going to be a long-term bullish one. If you're looking to go long here, you're probably looking to take your profit at about $2,260 a share. Maybe if you're lucky, you can go up to 265, but then you're out of it. Then it's probably going to start getting resistance from this cloud, and it's going to start dropping back down again. Okay, next one. Ftnt, Ftnt. Okay, what are we seeing? This one is at least looking a bit more bullish in a sense, except. So if you've attended these webinars before, I've spoken before about the divergences. So this is exactly what we're seeing at the moment on this stock. So as you can see clearly, it has been strengthening. It has been going up. Yes. But at the same time, what do we see on the MACD over that same period? That MACD has been trending down. So that is what we call a bearish divergence on an indicator. If a stock keeps going up, but the indicator trends down, that's bearish divergence. That's kind of like tends to be, as with always, as I said with everything, it is not always a surefire thing, okay? But in my experience, it tends to be very good at predicting change in trend. And right now it's predicting, ooh, be careful. We might see a drop in share price right now. And you can see, if you look at the indicator here, I mean, yes, it's still above price, but that gap is starting to close. It's going to move into here, and then it can very easily drop below it. So I would be very careful of opening a long position on this stock at the moment. In fact, I would probably say keep an eye on it. You might maybe consider opening a short trade, even if you look there. Unfortunately, we can't see this now because it's below the candle, but you can see the gap between these two. The short-term and medium-term moving averages have closed. So yeah, that is a bit dodgy at the moment on this stock at the moment. If you're looking to open a long trade, I probably wouldn't. I would wait. Maybe wait for it to drop back down to find support here. There again at about $310, there's support line. So I would definitely not be looking to open any long positions on this stock at the moment. Okay. TMO. Kind of seeing the same thing happening here, aren't we? Let's put our arrow back on. So there we go. Been trending up. Well, okay, let's rather do this. Trend it up, put another arrow. Then it's ran flat. Over that same period, when it was trending up, it went flat on the MACD. And when it went flat on the MACD, what happened? On the chart, it was started going down on the MACD. So that is again bearish divergences, two bearish divergences, which we can now see on this stock. There's the first one, there's the second one, two bearish divergences. Again, definitely not a surefire thing. These are just indicators letting you know, hey, keep an eye on this thing. At least on the Ichimoku, we can see some bullish signals. Like, for instance, this one, the short-term moving average have moved back above the medium-term moving average. We still have a bullish cloud here, the bullish Kumo, but I mean, it's a very thin cloud. It's not a very thick cloud. And it seems to have found a bit of resistance here as well, if we have to be honest. So if we put a line there, let's just make it a different color. Okay, fine. But yeah, so resistance there. So it boom, boom, boom. It's finding resistance. And look at all these red candles now. It's really struggling to get about above $640 a share. And now there's these bearish divergences. So again, if it was me, my personal opinion, would I go long on this stock? Probably not. I would probably wait. Maybe look down closer to $600 or even below 600, like 590. Between 590 and $600. You can consider going long. So in the meantime, I would actually consider maybe going short on this one. Okay, then last one we'll have a look at before we run out of time. Sorry if I don't get to all of your shares. Okay. Epam Systems. I mean, right there, that's not the best. I mean, I don't know the stock. Maybe they released results yesterday and the results weren't the best. Because usually you'll see that when a company releases results and they really missed analyst estimates, you'll see a big drop in the share price. Likewise, if they really beat analyst estimates, you'll see a nice big green candle. Not sure if that's what happened here. I'm not going to claim I don't know the stock very well. I don't follow it. But I mean, with all three of these stocks, once again, what do we see? So let's go from there. I mean, it went up. And then what do we see here? It's been pretty much flat. So there's, again, that's, it went up a little bit. I mean, if we really have to be honest, but tiny bit, but not by as much as price went up. So that's, again, nice little bearish divergence. So this drop, it's now moving below. Same thing here, short-term moving average. It moved below medium-term moving average. What you can find, what is kind of good is, it might just find, like I showed before, it might find support here right at the border of the cloud. And there is a bit of support if you look at the, not really. So it might find support, but I would probably wait. Like a big candle like this, maybe wait a day or two just to see how it plays out before you open a long position. But it could maybe be a good place to open a long position if you want to, because it will probably find support here. It does still have the bullish cloud, so that's not bad either. So that is at least some bullish signals right there. But yeah, I mean, it's not really giving me much apart from this like bearish divergence, which I mean wasn't wrong. Look what happened. It predicted the bearish divergence, and look what continued proceeded to happen. It proceeded to fall, which just shows that these bearish divergences, they tend to be, in my personal opinion, they tend to be good leading indicator. Even though the MACD might be a lagging indicator, divergences on it tend to be like really good leading indicators, telling you, hey, keep an eye on this. There's a divergence here. Keep your eye out. There might be a nice drop in share price, and that's exactly what proceeded to happen on this stock, at least. The divergence formed and it proceeded to drop. Look, it was as high as 720 and now it's down to 640. So that's more than $100 drop. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. If you open the short right here at the top, you're going to make a nice $100 profit per share you shorted. But okay, that will be the webinar for today. Thank you for attending. If you want to attend any one of our other webinars, just go to randswiss.com. Just click events. We'll have some more ones. This is more of a technical one, but we also have these more fundamental analysis webinars presented by Gary Boyson. So yeah, I would definitely say if you're interested in that, attend those webinars. But thank you for attending this one.